You would think that when it came to putting a doorknob on a door it would be the simplest thing ever, but of course not so. First of all, it would depend on the door and your particular project. If you've got something very grand with very large doors, you might need something as large as this. For most ordinary house doors, Victorian, Edwardian, whatever, it will be as simple as this little fella here. Although even he can have a little brass bit that goes behind it to finish it off, so you need to think about whether you want it to look like that with a finished off piece behind or just on its own. These rather grander ones are fine for front doors as well, for fairly ordinary front doors. Now that looks a bit strange because it screws together. I'll talk about that in a minute, and that of course has got a finishing piece behind it. Then there's ones that you have a key plate on that will go through a key plate, finger plate with a keyhole in. Again, for a front door or a fairly grand interior door. All of those have been brass, which are the most common ones. That's what you find mostly. You can get some wooden doorknobs, which are really rather nice and gives you the chance, of course, then to paint it quite easily to anything you want. So that's advantageous. And the ones I'm using for my project at the moment are not that easy to find, but they are around. This is from a place called Magpie's Miniatures, and they're little white enamelled ones which are very 30s. The 30s were white enamelled, Bakelite, creamy coloured Bakelite, and a sort of brown Bakelite predominantly, but they were generally a round knob. You can also get lever doors, which I don't have any to show you. Sorry, lever door knobs, which I don't have any to show you. And I suspect a million more, but these are the most common ones that you're looking at here, the ones that are easy to get, which is of course why I've got them. The first difficulty you've got with putting your doorknobs on when you're putting two on, one each side, is they all come with some sort of little stem on them. Now the white ones that I'm using I have tested, and luckily they come with a very small stem. I'm hoping you can see that at this end. And two of those stems, one that way and one that way, don't quite meet in the middle. So I can get both of those on without any kind of adjustment. Sometimes the stems are too long to get two on, one each side. So you have to then get a pair of wire cutters and just nip some off the end of the stem. Initially when I did it, I took it completely off one of them, so I pushed one through using the stem, and the other one I just cleaned the stem off completely and glued it down, because I thought that will save me having to cut two stems, because it wasn't the easiest of jobs. But I very soon discovered that that knob kept coming off. Well, those knobs in that particular project kept coming off very easily because they don't have a lot of area behind here to put glue in to keep them firmly attached if they haven't got this stem running through the middle. This one that I just picked up requires something different again, because it has a threaded barrel here. This barrel is threaded for this end to screw in, which makes it nice and easy and a very good firm fit. But the downside is you're going to have to remake that hole to fit that stem. So you're going to have to find a drill bit that size and drill your door out so that that will go right through, and that one will go on the other side and then screw nicely into place. Again, if it's not exactly the thickness of your door, if that bar in between is not, that piece in between there is not exactly what your door is, the thickness of your door, you've got a bit of a problem, because obviously it's not going to be very easy to cut down. As it turns out, it would have fitted this one perfectly, but I'm not using those this time. So those are nice because they're nice and firm, but come with the added problem of having to drill a piece out to get the rod through. There are other ones that screw, like this one. If you just wait while I just take this apart. And this one works this way and gives you a more variable length, and usually you don't have to drill out very much, if at all. The stem is thinner, so sometimes it will go straight through the hole that's already pre-drilled in your door. You move that out of the way for the minute so that you've got less in the background. So that thread generally is pretty thin, will go through your door relatively easily. The threaded part here in the head gives you all that distance to go up, because it will screw right down inside that head completely. So it will give you a variation of thickness on your wood, which is quite useful. Again, I'm not so sure I can show you anything very useful with this door because the holes aren't big enough for it to go right through. But you can see that it goes from edge to edge. Then on the other side you'd be screwing that on until you got down to your door edge, and that would be a very secure knob on each side being held with a brass thread. So that's another good one to get if that's the right size for your door. So all of those three, basically, that one's threaded, the one that comes with the lock. That chunkier one is threaded, and that one is threaded. So all of those three, really good firm fastenings, but you might have to do a bit of woodwork, basically. The ordinary little brass knob that you see mostly on Edwardian Victorian doors, and that most people use, is just that little pin there, that little knob there. These are very hard to show you successfully. But they can also come with this sort of cupped brass back that you would have had, that would make a sort of finger plate behind it. So you have to decide whether you want to add those in to the mix or not. Wood ones, so you can paint them. And back to my white one.